I'm CK. Today we've got another kit from the fine folks at Befaco in Barcelona. This is their Pony VCF. It's a mixer, low-pass filter, and VCA all in one. So that is a lot packed into a relatively narrow module. Let's put it together and hear how it sounds. And I hope you enjoy the video. The bag, I picked this up from thonk.co.uk, as I do many of my modules. Assembly guide, bill of materials. Let's pull out the front panel and the circuit boards. Let's see if we've got our standard curly circuit boards. Let's take a look at the front panel first. Pony VCF CV1. Looks like the actual filter. There's an in here, and that looks like another LED, I don't know what. And here looks like sliders for mixer, and also 3 goes into, out goes into 3 for some interesting feedback. Then we've got CV1 to VCA. Here's in 1, in 2, and in 3. Resonance CV, CV1, and CV2. I'm not sure what those are going to be for. We'll find out. Aluminum front panel. Now we'll look at the circuit board, and it looks like there are 2 circuit boards, first off, and they are populated with lots and lots of surface mount components already. And yes, we do have our typical, not a straight line to be seen, Befaco circuit board. It's just interesting. There's 2 trimmers, resonance Q factor, init, I don't know what that would be. And with HD, I don't know what that means. And hold on one second, because my phone is buzzing at me. Let's see. Okay, there should have been a camera skip right there, because I did have to take that call. So it looks like we've got a bunch of chips on the board already. There's a blue resistor there. I think that's temperature controlled, because they do mention that it's temperature stabilized. Nothing too unusual. Again, tons of resistors. Somebody at Befaco must have stock in a resistor factory, because they use more resistors than anybody I know. Let's look at the control board. We've got 2 more chips and a variety of other things back here. Jumpers, pin headers. No little saying on this. They usually have a little saying on this. So we've got those 2 LEDs, a pot and an input, pot, sliders, jack, 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 and a switch for the VCA. So that's all good. Power cable. Here's all our resistors, diodes, there's a couple of ferrite beads. So we're going to be keeping a couple of resistor leads to make our little inductor there. And some 104 caps, decoupling caps. Then we've got our sliders. Let me see. These look like the good sliders. Nice and smooth. Yeah, they're nice and smooth, and they've got little dust protection. That's a good slider. They have thoughtfully taken all the panel nuts off. Actually, they always do that because they use their own panel nuts, as you might recall. or if you have some Befaco stuff already, let me dump all these things out just because they like their special black and red panel nuts. I do too, because they quickly tell you what's an input and what's an output. Now, this is one area where I would say, do more. It's kind of a lame little, I mean, it's fine, it's a knob, but it doesn't have any indexing, it doesn't have any insert for brass insert, doesn't have a set screw, it's just a push on. We do have two stickers here, one of which I do not currently have. Come on! Come out of there, guys, come out. Some knurlies, and this is new, it's a knurly sticker. And we've got a diode sticker and a Befaco sticker, just to make sure we have enough stickers. In here, got some more mechanical bits, a keyed power header, the other pin headers, electrolytic caps, ceramic caps, two LEDs, a red and a green one, a foil cap, and a couple of foil caps, and 3 trimmers. I thought I only saw 2. Did they put one on this board too? I don't think so. Oh, resonance in it and with ho. I don't know what the heck that would be, but we'll find out once we get it together. And of course, another Befaco panel nut wrench, which, as I've said, I got a ton of already. So that's the bits and pieces. I'll get the soldering iron heated up and we'll start putting this thing together. I brought up the build guide from Befaco's site. It's their typical, relatively minimalistic build guide, no pictures, but I've got the couple of diagrams that you can work with. But I found Befaco kits to be pretty straightforward to build. Now we're going to do resistors first. There are 2500K resistors here that we're going to put on. So let me get them all out of their tape. See how closely we have to bend the leads to the resistor. Befaco usually is pretty tight. And again, just sometimes it's just hard to tell. Is this one R1 or is this one R1? Because I think this is R1 and this one is R2. And since R2 is 100K, also, I don't really care, I guess. So put that through. We don't have to put, we can have 0.5 millimeter slack on each end of the lead. And of course, this is a good quality Befaco through-hole plated board. Let's see how it takes solder. Just dandy. So that's that for one resistor. Went on well. The solder wicked through to the other side. So it's a good corrosion-free, strong connections. Now I'm going to do all the rest of these resistors. That'll be, looks like about 40, 44 resistors. And since there's nothing more to say about them, I will turn the commentary down, speed up playback, probably cut a bunch of stuff, and give you the opportunity to enjoy a resistor time. That's the end of resistor time for today. Everything went pretty straightforward. Now you may notice on here on R33, they apparently, I don't know whether they didn't want a 1/4 watt or they just couldn't find them. I mean, obviously you probably can. But this resistor needs to stand up because it doesn't fit into the template. because it's a much higher capacity, a voltage capacity diode, I mean resistor, because now we're going to do the diodes. We'll do the switching diodes first. Now we'll do 5817 rectifying diodes. Put all the capacitors on, and we've got a whole bunch of 104 decoupling caps because we've got a whole bunch of ICs, and that's typically where you'll see 104s. So that's all the 104, 100 nanofarad. Now we're going to open the next bag with a bunch more capacitors and the like. Make sure there's nothing left in that bag. And let's see what we're going to do next. We've got 12 10 picofarads. You can see here this 560p foil cap is bigger than these two, and you got to kind of spread them apart. They didn't give you enough room in there. He mentions it in the instructions, but they should have. I mean, that's just kind of a mess. But it goes in. You just got to be careful with it. Now we'll do the electrolytics. They're all 10 microfarad, and what voltage are these? They're all 35 volt. Huh, that's pretty good. Now we'll put the voltage regulators in. These are not transistors, these are voltage regulators. Now we'll do our pin headers. And we'll do them the way they recommend. Actually, I'm thinking about this. I'm trying to think of the way I want to do this best. Let me put the pin headers in their slots. Looks okay. I'm gonna do this because I don't often do this, but the way these are spaced, I feel more comfortable doing the top and the bottom at the same time to make sure they all line up. If they were in long strips, that was wrong. If they were in long strips, I generally don't do this because I find long strips, 1 or 2 long strips, really. Why do I have a 4 there? There it is. I find that long strips I can get aligned pretty simply between the two boards, but when I've got a number of small strips like this, particularly this cluster 4333 down here, getting them aligned properly with the other board could be a bit of a challenge. So I'm just going to mount them all together first. And we got them all through. I'm going to grab my little clamp. Clamp the boards together so nothing moves. And now I'll do all these pin headers, making sure they're all completely flat, and they are. And there's all the pin headers. Now we'll take it back apart, knowing that since we soldered them together that way, they will be aligned when we go around to putting them back together. I reversed that one. Doesn't matter. See, I put the socket side on that one, the pin side on that one. Again, it doesn't matter. I did it on purpose so you could see that it doesn't matter. Not really, but it in fact does not matter. And now we're going to put the power connector on, and I'm going to put the notch and this power cable in it just to make sure that I'm getting the red stripe in the right place. As you can see, here's a white line that says that's where the negative is. That's where the red stripe goes. Now we'll put the trimmers on, and we've got 200K and 150K. So we'll find the 100Ks first. We get our spacers. We've got 2 spacers. Oops, what just fell over? One little brass spacer. And another little brass spacer. Now we're going to find 2 screws for the spacers. I have 1 screw. 2 screws. Now next, let me do a time check here. Next is all the front panel components, and I'm not going to do that right now because the cats are scratching at the door saying we want to get fed. So we'll leave this for now and come back and put all the front panel components and controls on. Okay, back at it, and we're going to do the faders now. That's what the guide indicates we should do. So put that board over there, and we'll get the faders in. You just got to get the pins lined up. They're really easy to place. I'm saying that and then it's not placing right. There we go. Typically you wouldn't solder them until you got everything together, but there's so much slop around the handles that it's not a problem. Now again, this one is a little loose, so I'm going to tack it in place. In fact, I'm going to tack all 3 in place and quadruple check the alignment. Come on, solder. Come on, solder, flow. There we go. Now that I've got them tacked, let me just make sure again that all the handles are right, and they are, so I can solder these connections. And that is all the faders. Oops, let me get a little more glue solder on here, even though it's not really. I mean, it's just a ground, and it's grounded at 3 other points, but may as well make it complete. Now we do the fun. We've got 3 pots, and they're all the same, I believe. 1, 2, get out of there, Jack. They're all 10Ks. Now put 1 switch in the source position. This may, yeah, that's pretty loose. And they say do the mini jacks next, but I'm actually going to do the LEDs next. The red LED goes to LED 1, and there is a clear indication of which is positive, and you can also kind of see the flat spot up, stuck to my finger and came back out. There we go. Not going to solder them, of course. Now we put the jacks on. Now we can set the, where's the control panel? Now we can set the control panel in or on. There we go. It's all secure, nothing rattling around. Take my clamp again, clamp it down, nothing's rattling around. Get the LEDs in. I'll come back to them in a minute. Now I think I've got everything. Oh, no I didn't. That's why I double check. It was hidden behind my view. It's just a ground pin, but every pin matters. Make sure everything else is in there. Now, one thing to be aware of, there's a pin, ground pins here, ground pins there, that are really close to these connectors, and up here you want to make sure you don't touch the surface mount components while you're there. Now, we're going to do the LEDs, and I don't want them sticking out, because I just generally don't like that. So I'm going to take a little piece of tape, put it right there, push these up against it, so they'll stay in place. Now I can solder the LEDs. I'm going to do these two outside ones first. Then trim those leaves. And do the inside pins. Take the tape off. They're flush. That's good. Now, put all the panel nuts on. That's that. Now we'll put the big knob on. And again, it's just to press that. Oops. And you notice here I'm holding it by the panel, not by the circuit board as I press, because I don't want to deform the circuit board if I don't have to. Now we'll get our final little guys. Those all slide fine. Now we're going to put everything all together, and again, since we soldered them with it together, everything should fit together easier. And there we go. All clicks into place. Now we'll take our two screws, to hold the boards together with the spacer. If I can get the screw in there. Golly! Let me get a screwdriver. Power cable in again for final. And then that's it. There's the front, the side, the back, the other side, and you can see that stand-up resistor does not interfere at all with closing things up. It's the top. There's the bottom. Now we'll put it in the rack and start filtering. I forgot that we need to calibrate this little fella. So let's do that. We're hooked up to the oscilloscope, and the first is going to be resonance. And we're going to set up, I've already got it plugged into my little benchtop power supply. 3 faders to minimum, resonance max fully clockwise. Oh, I got to plug in the scope. Plugging in the scope. There we go. Out modules oscilloscope, frequency adjusted to 1K. So if we look right here, frequency currently at 15K. So we'll come down, come down, come down, 1.18, 1.03. I'll go back up just a hair. 1.08 kilohertz is fine with me. Now we're going to adjust the resonance trimmer to plus 5 volts of amplitude, plus minus 5 volts. We're currently at, oh gosh, we're pretty close. We're at 11.6 volts peak to peak. So we'll just go in here and hopefully get my, come on, I've got to do better than that. Dial this down and probably get my head in the shot, aren't I? That's 9. Where do I want to be again? Oh, so I want to be about 10 volts peak to peak. 9.2, 9.6, 10 volts dead on peak to peak. Okay, so that's that step. Now we're going to do tuning, so we'll disconnect the scope, and I'll take the scope off the screen because it's not showing anything. Frequency and the CV attenuator, minimum counterclockwise, resonance maximum, 3 faders minimum. Now we're going to take, get my CV, my control voltage, and instead of, why is this all messed up? Golly. I'm sending straight voltage in, I'm not using anything else. Into CV2, and then the output will go out my little amp here. Can we hear anything? I'm not hearing anything yet because I don't have any CV going in. Now I'm going to turn on my power supply and send it 4 volts. And I'm not getting anything. Why am I not getting anything? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. And now adjust the knob until your tuner shows C4. to drop down to 1 volt. That's giving me G1. So I want to adjust that to get gotta bring the speaker down. Now I'm going to adjust width to get back to C1. And that looks good. Okay, good. I've got the width down. Turn this down a little bit. Okay, so that, yep, we got it calibrated. Now we can put it in the rack and do our thing. And we're in the rack, and I didn't plug the rack in before I went on camera, which is kind of silly, so you get in the way of the camera. And plug this, turn this baby on. Okay, so we've got even VCO going into 1, a rotten nest VCO going into 2, and if we turn it up, and all the faders are down right now, we do get a little something here. Let me play with it a little bit. Okay, we take it all the way out. Now bring up. That should go straight through, shouldn't it? I thought that went straight through. I'm adjusting the second VCO. So there's the 1 VCO. Let me go ahead and put this on, actually sequence through it. You notice I just took the slider down a little bit to turn off the overload. I'm going to go ahead and put an LFO into resonance CV. So you can hear that. Let me speed it up a little bit. Slow it down a lot. It's got a nice little loop to it. One more CV source in. Where's another cable? I'm going to go down a pipe. Okay, I'm going to take these CDs out for a minute. And now I'm going to bring up the second VCO. I'm going to take another waveform out of that VCO. I'll take the complex wave out of it and put that in input 3. Bring up input 3. Actually, I don't, well, I don't know. It's the VCA. I'm going to take 3 out again. going to take this way up. So that sounds pretty neat. There's a lot to do with that you can play with. The only thing I don't quite understand is the feedback. And he doesn't mention much about it. I guess that's it. Oh, that sounds pretty neat. So that's how it works. Sounds pretty good. Lots to do with it. Could be very much fun. Let's look at the voltages again. Plus 46 millivolts, negative 43, positive 43 negative. It's a little high. Peak was 59 millivolts and 49 on the negative. So not too much of a power beast. And again, what you can also do, I thought you could, it's pretty much just a straight mixer. And again, another good kit from Befaco. Sounds really neat. There's a lot you can do with it. And except for a couple of tight component placements that need some careful soldering, it's a pretty straightforward kit. And I hope you enjoyed the video.